Welcome, low ego action heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX. We're a full service CX and UX agency, and I am up to Ricola. Not sponsored. How are you? Hello, Dries. So today is office hours. Ask me anything. I will take any questions you have. You are welcome to put them in the YouTube comments, in the LinkedIn, or you can ask anonymously here at deltacx.link/ask. You can use that all week long, and I save the questions for now. So we actually do have one question ahead of time that came in earlier. So I only have one question that came in ahead of time. So if you would like to send in some questions, you will be question number 2. Hello, Stuti. All right, so let me just set up. I got so excited by my own theme song, I forgot to set up all of my windows. So give me 1 second to turn on my little tool that puts everybody's YouTube comments on the screen. If you'd like to see your name in lights, make sure you are following on YouTube where I can put your comments up. All right, let's check for that. There we go, like this. Let's see. Hello, you're famous. All right. So let me get to my first question, which came in ahead of time. And let's close a couple of windows. Here we go. All right. The question that I got ahead of time says, user research may not include bad actors or people with malicious intent. For example, hate groups using social media to harass others. As CX and UX professionals, what should we keep in mind knowing that groups may abuse what we create? What role do we play in proactively preventing abuse? Well, of course, this is a super question, and I actually do go into this a little bit in my book. And I think I also had an episode on this. Let me go search through my own episodes. Let me check. No, I didn't turn it into an episode, but I think I did turn it into a Medium article, and I think it was called, it is episode 30. Ooh, that's over a year old. Episode 30, if you go way back into the live stream podcasts playlist, or you can search for Zoom and You Need to Do a Bad Actor Brainstorming Workshop. So hi, Haftab. So I suggest, first of all, to answer your question generally before I get specific, what role do we play in proactively preventing abuse? We really do, and we need to. To me, that's part of what ethics are about at our company. If we are turning a blind eye or not trying to figure out how this is going to be used for any sort of negative or evil intent, we're being idiots. And then, of course, it's going to be used that way. We could end up written up online. Our stock price could go down. And, of course, people could be hurt. And there have been too many examples of that, unfortunately. So I suggest the Bad Actor Brainstorming Workshop. And, again, it's got the word workshop in it. So everyone's going to go, Deb doesn't like workshops, but call it meeting if you feel better about it. Hey, Mags. So basically, whether you call it a meeting or a workshop, the idea is to bring together people from a lot of different disciplines at your company. So you want you and the product manager and an engineer, but then you want a security person. Maybe you want a lawyer. You want people who are going to have all kinds of different perspectives of different safety issues, security issues, legal issues, hacking issues. You bring everybody together, and it's really just brainstorming. Here's the product or feature that we're talking about. Better if it's a specific feature than an entire product. But let's brainstorm the ways in which someone could use this in a bad way. And that way you're a little bit prepared for these things. And that way you can spin up projects that might either be engineering, IT, technical projects to make sure that you have done something about this. Don't just brainstorm about this and go, well, we'll wait for it to happen and then we'll do something. No, you absolutely have to be mitigating this risk before it's hurting other people and you. So I would say the bad actor brainstorming workshop or meeting is something I would suggest so that you can figure out kind of super cross-functionally. That's why I said even including security ops people and maybe even lawyers. What could someone do here? And a good story is around an email service called Superhuman, and they got super pooped on about 2 or 3 years ago when someone exposed the fact that every time you opened an email, they were telling the person who sent it not only that you opened it, but what your geographic location was when you opened it. Not the street address, but like the town or city or place. And they thought that would be cool and interesting and whatever. I don't know what purpose that really serves. I've never wondered, did they open my email and where are they right now? It's a little creepy. And of course, the bottom line was that information could be used by a stalker or a criminal or an unwell person to try to figure out where someone is or someone who's escaped them. Where are they? Really bad. And so they were kind of taken to task in public over that. And their whole thing was like, gee, we didn't see that coming. Really? So there you go. Solomon says, hacker's delight. Very different than rapper's delight. So that's one thing that I think we can do. But whether you do a bad actor brainstorming workshop meeting or something else, we have to predict these things. When I talk about how CX and UX have to be good at predicting possible outcomes, this is part of that set. What could someone do to game the system, to steal information, to hurt someone else? Almost every system can be used that way. Sorry, I'm having Ricola, not sponsored. But yeah, we don't think about it, and we have to. So if your other teammates aren't, feel free to do it and document it and bring it to people's attention and pull in security people or legal team or whatever. So thank you for asking. I hope that is a good answer, and let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Or remember, everybody's always welcome to ask follow-up questions to someone else's question. So if you didn't ask that question, but you have a follow-up question, get it out here because I'm happy to answer any questions. Let's put up Aftab's question. How much experience do you think a researcher should have before they start their own freelance practice, if any? Super question. So nothing stops anybody from being a freelancer, but I think when many companies think of a freelancer, they think of someone who is fairly experienced, who's going to be able to come in and hit the ground running and really understand things at that science and technique level and to be able to be strategic about the project. Bing. So you want to make sure that you've got enough experience where you have reached that level. You're going to be good at estimating time. You know which methodologies to choose and which ones not to do. And then you know how to get the work done really, really, really well and efficiently. So I think for many people that tends to come 4 or 5 years in, if not a little bit more. Every person's going to be different. Some people are good at that earlier. Some people are good at that later. But I would probably say when you're kind of shifting from that kind of mid-level to that senior level. So definitely senior level, which should be 5 years or above. And possibly high mid-level. But again, remember that most freelancers are being brought in as hired guns who know exactly what to do, don't need instruction, don't need training, don't need much supervision. The last project I was on, like very often when I'm brought in as a freelancer, which I still do, nobody's checking my work. They just trust me because they know I have good experience. And I would tend to trust someone probably with 5 or more years of experience, whereas some of my apprentices I'm working with now, it's not that I'm micromanaging them, but I want to check their work a lot more often because they might not have learned certain concepts or they might be guessing. So I think of a freelancer as someone whose work I don't really have to check, just do it. So I hope that helps off top. How many years do you have? Mag says, I like how you call them bad actors instead of devil's advocate. Yeah, I mean, we can say devil's advocate, but I think it's the real term is bad actors. It's people who come into a system and do the thing we don't want to happen. And I believe that is the proper term for them. So we can say, devil's advocate, someone gets this town and state and they want to stalk that person. I don't know, that seems to have gone way beyond devil's advocate. So bad actors is evidently the right term for that. So this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I'm happy to answer any question that pops up. You can also subscribe here on YouTube. We're coming up on 2,000 subscribers, so I've scheduled my 2,000 subscriber celebration for, I think, June 1st. It'll be an Office Hours Ask Me Anything 2 weeks from today. That will be me taking your questions as usual, but special guest Deb's boyfriend also taking questions. You are welcome to direct questions at him, and you are welcome to direct questions at me, but it will be a little bit of a fun, probably slightly comedy office hours since he's very funny and we end up as a comedy team. Aftab says, thanks. I have about 3 years experience if you include internships. Yeah, I would say it really depends on how good you think you are with getting this stuff done completely by yourself with no oversight and knowing which methodologies to use when and how long these things are going to take, because you usually have to estimate your own time. When you're a freelancer, they'll say, hey, we need this. How long is it going to take you? You can't be like, I don't know. So you got to be like, oh, that? Yeah, okay, I need 2 weeks for this. Then I need 2 weeks for this. Then I'm going to spend 3 weeks on this. Then I'm going to do a week on this. You got to know. So I would probably say I wouldn't be surprised if you would need another year or more. But again, it's going to be different for different people. There's no hard and fast rule. I just know that in general, people expect freelancers to hit the ground running and be experienced. They very rarely expect a freelancer to be someone completely new, never done this work before, which is obviously not you, but people just out of boot camps. A lot of boot camps say, oh, just go freelance. But I don't think that's right, because I think of a freelancer as the hired gun who's going to get this done. And I don't have to mentor and coach them and circle over them. Maggie says, I'm not a fan of the term haha. Yeah, devil's advocate's weird. It doesn't belong here necessarily. So if anybody has any questions, send them out. I usually stay here an hour. And for those of you who watched this morning, the answers are my hair dried puffy and I ate Emmenthal instead of feta. Thank you for playing along. End of story. So let's see. Meanwhile, while we're waiting, let me remind you, the Concentric Conference is coming up. It is free to register, and you even get no more than one, free mentoring speed session. 15 minutes if the slots are still left. I looked earlier. We have 208 people registered, which is great. It's all going to be in Air Meet for the networking parts and the mentoring parts. And then it's going to be in Zoom webinar for the sessions. So we're still pulling ourselves together, and I'm still adding some talks to the webpage a bit last minute, but there you go. Wouldn't be a conference without that. And but it's free to register, which means if you don't like it, no refunds. And scene. Other than that, it's spring allergies time, and I'm breathing okay today, so far. Hope the Ricola's helping. Solomon says, year 1 intro. Let's get his stuff up here when it pops up on my screen. Here it is. Year 1. He's got a whole plan for you. Year 1, intro, learn the terms, the jargon, the techniques, learning the rules or regulations in the industry you're operating in or subject to. Year 2, unknown mystery. Okay. So thank you, Solomon, for that detailed plan. for year one. Aftab's got a follow-up question, so let me add that to my list. Thank you for that. And paste. Okay, so Aftab says, how do you go about finding freelance gigs? Or is it common to network and create that opportunity? I find that most freelance work comes from agencies. Very rarely have I seen a corporate job look for a freelancer. Now, it does happen, but very often a corporate job will treat a freelancer as a contractor. So some of this is just different language, but typically a freelancer in the corporate setting might be a contractor, especially for some legal reasons, and a freelancer more in an agency or other setting might be a freelancer. So how do you find freelance gigs? Typically, these might be on some boards, but I don't know. I don't follow boards. And then definitely some networking, and I would say connecting with recruiters and connecting a lot with agencies, because I think it's very often agencies who are looking for freelancers. A lot of agencies and consultancies don't keep a lot of full-time employees on staff. They wait until they have a project that comes in, and then they say, oh man, this one's going to need a UX designer and a UX researcher. Now we got to go find those people. And you want to be someone they know who they turn to. So I get turned to a lot for those types of things. There are some agencies that know me or have worked with me before. And so when something pops, they're saying, hey, are you available? So you do want to make these relationships with these people. But in general, I mean, you could try to reach out to an agency and say, hi, I just want to let you know I'm a freelancer that does this, this, this. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. But again, I would probably say, since you probably only really have maybe 2 years of work experience and plus the year of internship, I think you're probably not quite there yet, but again, I'd have to see your work. And of course, Kayleen wants a directory of agencies, not that I know of. So no, I'm going to go with no. And thanks for the LOL, which is like, I know the answer is no. Hey, Denise, how's it going? And let's drop Denise's question in and put that up. Doom, pow. So Denise says, hi, Debbie, what could be the next career path for a UX designer? So I guess that would be, it depends. Do you want to stay a UX designer, or are you looking to move into management? Are you looking to leave UX design and become a massage therapist? I think if you're looking to stay in UX, but you're looking to level up, typically after you've done kind of the junior, mid-level, senior thing, from there it's usually lead or principal, which is someone who's doing the work most of the time, but also mentoring the juniors and overseeing kind of as a team leader, but not the team's manager. There's still a manager everybody reports to. And then, of course, above that would be manager. So I certainly encourage all of the low ego action heroes to try to stay at companies long enough to be managers, because I would love to see more of us being managers and fewer unqualified people who failed up, as Darren would say. I see an anonymous question coming in with the old school link. Let's get that on the list. So I guess the next career path really varies. It's kind of like, what do you want to do? And do you want to go into management or leadership? Because ultimately that's really kind of what's after this. Let's see. We got Solomon's question also. Let's paste that in and then do the anonymous question. I think Solomon's came in first. So let's put that up on the screen. What about you, Debbie? Hi. How do designers generally mature over time as they gain experiences? What changes between year 3 or year 5 and so on? Yeah, so I think that it's kind of like people start to hit their stride a little bit. They start to get better. They have enough experience where they go, oh, wait, I've learned my lesson a few times. If I want to speak to 20 people, I can't invite 20 people. If I want to speak to 20 people, I probably have to invite 80. You start to learn from your experience and you don't make those newbie mistakes anymore. Not that someone in year 2 or 3 is necessarily a newbie, but you are still kind of junior, just moving into mid-level. So I would say some of it is getting rid of newbie mistakes, better understanding best practices, hopefully more knowledge of psychology and information architecture, lots more practice. This is the kind of world where every year you get better at what you do, unless you're terrible at it or unless this is just not meant for you. But in general, most of us get better every year. I think I get better every year. I think I'm much better than I was 5 years ago. I sometimes wish I could go back to the boss I had in 2012 and go, look at where I ended up. I'm so much better at this now. So I think that a lot of people sometimes end up learning more formalized approaches to things they were guessing at. They've learned a lot of mistakes. They've learned some fresh and better ways to do things. They've figured out some good tools that work for them. They've sharpened up their processes a little bit, and they've hopefully start to become more strategic. So again, getting better at picking the right methodologies at the right times. When is this going to be observational research? When should this be interviews, or should it be something else? How are we going to organize that and analyze that? And what's the right deliverables or artifacts or documentation to create? So that would be my medium-sized answer. I hope that helps. I see we have another anonymous question coming in. Please hold. Companies I admire. Okay, we'll get your question on the end. I see you. Paste. Okay, so here is a question that came in, I believe anonymously, so I will not put it on the screen. I cannot. And keep the questions coming. We've got this and another one. What are your thoughts on unmoderated usability tests? I do use them and I like them. The only advantage I've seen is scheduling or getting quick answers, but I often find that sometimes there can be a language barrier or even people not following the indicated tasks. This often leads to bad or biased results that could have been easily handled had it been moderated. So super point. And here's the way that I would look at that. So first of all, if someone had a bad language barrier, by the time you're in the moderated version with them, what are you going to do? Throw them out for not speaking English well enough? We did an interview last year, and someone showed up to the interview and could not speak English and was trying to Zoom chat everything and then paste it into Google Translate, and we did have to end that session. So can that be mitigated by a moderated study? I think language barriers sometimes we're just surprised by. People claim they speak English, this person did, and they really didn't. Or they thought they were going to get away with pasting things into Google Translate when it was an interview. I do like unmoderated usability tests. Of course, they rely very heavily on you having a great prototype to test and you writing good tasks for the test. Remember, do not write tasks that match that try to validate the design. Write the tasks based on what the user was trying to accomplish. And so that can definitely mess with that. Certainly moderated can give us more why. We have the chance to ask people after they've done something, hey, why did you choose that? Or what made you do this? So we do miss that from the unmoderated. But people not following the indicated tasks, when I've had that, I usually report that person to the unmoderated test software company because they usually guarantee that you will get the results you're looking for. So I had that a couple of years ago. We were testing something unmoderated and we got 5 people from the software company. 4 were great. I still remember one of them. She was so awesome. And one didn't get anything and was kind of sleepwalking through it and was like, yeah, I guess I'd press this and yeah, I guess I'd do this and yeah, I guess I'm done with the task. It's like, oh, you didn't even try. And I reported it and they said, don't worry, we'll get you somebody else. And they took hers out of the system and they sent me somebody else and that person was great. So I would say when you're using these systems, and especially if you're using that company's panel or where they provide the test takers or participants, don't be afraid to report that person and say, this person didn't follow the tasks. We need to get somebody else. And they'll usually replace them free of charge. So just check that they have that guarantee. If it's your own people that you recruited, then you have to look a little bit more closely at some of your recruiting to see why you weren't able to filter in or out certain languages. And people not following the indicated tasks usually means they didn't care and they were hoping to just get the money, and then you don't pay them. So I hope that helps, but I do like unmoderated usability tests. I like it for their ways to get fast and good information. I've always gotten good information from them, and if somebody's bad, I report them. Last year, I did a card sort, but we did two. I did an unmoderated card sort while I did a moderated card sort. So we had 50-something people do the unmoderated card sort, which is good because it was statistically significant. And then I did, I think, 12 people on the moderated card sort. And the two together were great. The unmoderated certainly gave me a large bulk of data that I could mess with and take a look at and give people, like, hey, here's a lot of people in the scheme of a card sort. And then the moderated people really filled in a lot of the why. Why did they group things in this way? Because I asked them after they were done. Like, once they said they were done, it's like, okay, let's walk through all of this and look at why you group things this way or put them in this order. So I like them both. And it really depends on what I'm shooting for, time, budget, and other things. But I will normally do unmoderated for usability tests and either or both for card sorts, and usually unmoderated for tree tests. Okay, I hope that helps. Next question anonymously says, hi, Debbie. Do you have any companies you admire or like what they're doing from a UX CX perspective? Yeah, I was saying in the Slack channel recently that there's a lot I like about Monday.com, not sponsored. I recently left Teamwork.com, definitely not sponsored, after about almost 10 years with them, maybe more. I went into Monday and I haven't looked back. Now, Monday does have a big learning curve and it's missing some features that I wish I had, but I feel like I've really upgraded from Teamwork and it's something that I really enjoy using. It's almost like I want to find more reasons to use it because I like it so much. And again, not sponsored. I like Monday.com. What else do I like? I'm looking at my own computer. I have to say I like vMix. It's kind of funny. The UX of vMix ain't much. This is definitely not a company that employs UX people. But like once I got past some of the learning curve of it, I just love doing stuff in vMix. Now, vMix is a software I use to run the show. I'll switch to it for a moment so you can all be like, what? So like this is what I'm looking at. This is what my screen looks like. This is where, this is what I see. And so I love vMix. And again, I don't think anybody there has barely heard of UX, but I love it so much, I just want to find more ways to use it. I love it so much, I bought a more powerful computer so I could take better advantage of it. So I think vMix is a lot of fun. And once I got over the learning curve, it's nice to use. And when I can't get over the learning curves, they have like the best YouTube channel with such. Oh, thank you, Anonymous. Okay, we'll get to you in a moment, Anonymous. I love their YouTube channel. Their videos are funny and really helpful. So I would have to say I enjoy vMix. So we've got a couple of chat room questions, and then I'll go chase that anonymous one that just came in. Okay, so here's Kayleen, and she says, and then Denise, I see yours too, just trying to copy paste. Kayleen says, are usability testers from companies too biased? Like they know more than the average person about how software websites work and are organized. Kayleen, not sure, because I would say in many cases, while these people have seen, in some cases, a lot of websites or apps or systems, that doesn't mean they know what they were supposed to look like. They only know what their experience is and if they're having good or bad experiences. So I wouldn't necessarily assume that these people are now suddenly UX experts. Only when somebody says something can I say, How long have you worked in UX? You know, a couple of people will say, I don't like the visual hierarchy. And I go, how long have you worked in UX? Now, I don't mind that, but I know that that person is looking at it differently than when I go into a panel and I say, find me people who have worked as a secretary and bought labor posters to hang up in their American workplace. Those people don't know what a website is supposed to do. They don't understand heuristics and all this other stuff. They just see a lot of websites and they know what they like and they know what they don't like. So I usually don't think they're biased, but as the earlier question said, you just have to look out for people who are not good at doing the tasks or avoiding doing the tasks or sleepwalking through the tasks just to try to get the money. And again, I usually just disqualify them. Shriva says, non-UX question, is that Windows or Linux? If Windows, which theme or layout is it? This is Windows. This is not a special theme at all. I just dragged my bottom taskbar to the left side. That's it. And then I bought Netmaster, which shows my live internet speed because my internet sometimes used to drop a lot more, but now it's much stronger. So I watch my own internet speed. That's just a taskbar add-on from Netmaster. It's paid. But that's not a special Windows theme. It's just drag your bottom taskbar to the left side. Denise, and then we'll look at the anonymous question. Denise says, what would be your approach to the redesign of a product? Complete change at release or incremental changes? A super question, but the problem is that's going to be an it depends. I don't know what is the right way to say that until I know what it is, who is the audience, what's the competitive landscape. So I'll give you an example. Many of you know I have a semi-secret apprenticeship program, and we are working on a real product that I'm going to release at some point. Now, I did not put it out incrementally. We are designing and designing and designing to have a really full-featured version 1. Now, it's not going to do everything that's on my list, and it's not going to do everything that competitors' systems do, but it's going to do a lot. It's going to have to meet competitors in some places, and it's going to beat competitors in some places, and it's not going to match up to competitors in some places. But because I already have established competitors in what we're building, I can't put out the lean, the fake leanest thing possible. I can't put out a minimum viable product. I already have strong competitors. I have to come out with something that's pretty strong, that's going to grab people and make people go, yeah, this is about like 80-85% of what I need. All right, I'm going to use this thing and wait for them to keep adding more to it, which of course we will. It'll be incremental beyond that. But for version 1, I think you have to look at the landscape and decide what is going to be best for the customer. Will the customer be okay with something that is less feature rich or less functional and then wait for more? Or do they really expect to have a really good version 1? Or, you're saying a redesign, a complete new version, or little changes. I think depending upon what you're doing, the little changes sometimes are can be more painful to people. It's like they log in, they go, oh no, now this changed. And they log in and go, oh wait, now this changed. And then a month later, oh God, now they changed this. So I wonder if the big change would be better. But again, that I would have to see what this is and figure that out. And Kayleen says, didn't Larry say if it looks the same, people expect it to work the same? I think that's from the point of the elements that you design. I'm not sure if it relates to this. Hold on, we've got anonymous questions flooding in. Let me check them. Anonymous video ask person. Okay, I see you. And let's check that you wanted this today. Okay, here we go. Select all? No, not all. Okay, hold on. I have to copy paste this from the video ask system. Thank you for typing it. And then other anonymous person, we'll get to you next. Somebody's using the old URL, which still works. Okay, so video ask person. Here we go. And sorry, I don't have someone else producing the show. It's just me. Denise says, not as an MVP, but to make users very surprised with a complete redesigned product. I think it really depends. It's hard for me to say go all in or do things in pieces. I think there's pros and cons to both. So I think it would be something we would have to research. You can always take some of the pieces that are ready and show them to X% of the people and see how they're reacting to it. Or you could take a whole thing and see how people react to it. I think a lot of companies who do the here's our new redesign will typically let people use the new version or stay in the old version for a certain amount of time and let them know this is our new version. This old version is only going to be around for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and then we expect everybody to transition into the new. So I've seen both. And to me, as long as you've done a better job and it truly is an upgrade, people will grumble a little and there will be a learning curve, but then they'll be happier because it's better and it does more. If this is in any way a downgrade, it kind of won't matter how you release it. It's a downgrade. I think Larry was referring to incremental changes when he said that. Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. I can't say there's always one right way. Let me grab all of these questions. Okay, so we've got anonymous question. Undo. I'm a UX designer with 2 years of experience looking to find a new role. How much user research experience do I have to demonstrate in my portfolio? I do usability testing on my designs, but most of the generative research is done by someone else on the team who's more focused on research. Okay, so the answer to this, in my opinion, really depends on what job you are applying for. If you are applying mostly for another UX designer job, you may or may not need research. I always recommend go to LinkedIn or your favorite job board, find jobs that look good to you, and take a look at how much research or what types of research they expect you to be able to do. Some of them who try to jack of all unicorns us, they'll say you must be able to do information architecture, interaction design, prototyping, testing, visual design. Now, that just means testing. So you'd want to show some sort of good approach to testing in your portfolio. If they really do expect you to do the generative side of research with observational studies or interviews or some of this other early stuff, then you would want to be able to show that. And if you don't have it yet, then it's something you're going to want to start learning and practicing so that you can get that into your portfolio. So the answer really depends on what you're looking to do, and just reverse engineer the jobs that look good to you and see what they expect. And that would tell you what should your portfolio show. If they expect years of experience doing generative research, but you've only done evaluative research, then you might be years away from shifting into more of a research job. You might have to look at more designer jobs or designing and testing types of jobs. And let's see. Solomon says, I think it depends on what problem you're trying to solve. Imagine doctor-patient relationships. There's always diagnosis. Oh, it sounds like, I think the chat room's having a conversation amongst themselves. So let's take another look at a question that came in anonymously, and it's got a reference with a picture. So why don't I share my screen again and we'll do the picture thing. So the question says, I'm curious, have you ever used or done an empathy map? And they sent a picture. So let's go there. So this is what they sent. And of course, there are many different templates for these types of things. This is an empathy map, and it says, who is the person and what situation are they in? What do they need to do? So this would hypothetically be their task. What do they see in the marketplace, in their environment? What do they see others saying and doing? What are they watching and reading? Now, of course, we only know that if we've watched them do this. We could ask them, but again, always better to watch them. What do they say? What do they do? What have we observed? What do they hear? What are they hearing? So the what do they see and what do they hear seem to be really similar, because here it's what do they see other people saying? That sounds like that should go under here. What do they hear other people saying? So this canvas is a little bit funky. And then what do they think and feel? Pains, gains. What other thoughts and feelings might motivate their behavior? So I have never done an empathy map. I've never used an empathy map, and I tend to be against them because I think we are inferring too much. Let's get the chat room up. I think we are inferring too much. How do we know what people are thinking? The best we can do is watch them to see what they do, analyze what they're doing to see what their task is and what they're trying to do, and speak with them to learn who they are. But that doesn't mean we're empathizing with them. Remember, I still think the word empathy is overused and misdefined. It doesn't match the original definition. We should know what they say if we're asking the right questions the right way. Many companies are not. Many companies are pulling aside a customer and saying, what do you want? What would you like? If we did this feature, would you like it? Hey, they said they'd like it. So, there are things here we could know if we did our research correctly, but there are so many ways to do the research incorrectly. And also, I think it is high ego to imagine that we really know what people think and what people feel. Now, here's how I know this. Very often, I will write something, I will comment under something on LinkedIn. And let's say I have a strong opinion on something and I say, hey, Lean UX is totally garbage and there's really nobody who should be doing it for any reason. So, I'm against it and let's not promote this. Sometimes someone will write in underneath me and say, oh, I've upset you. And I always feel like, wow, you're really not understanding what I'm thinking or feeling, and you're also not asking. And I think you're trying to use a tactic that tries to make me look emotional and therefore weaken my argument by making my argument seem like it comes from emotion, rather than, to me, it just coming from fact and opinion. So whenever I hear we know what people think and we know what they feel, I think about how many times people, especially on LinkedIn, attribute to me things I'm not thinking and I'm not feeling. And then I think like, well, then, things like this are really likely to be wrong, So Denise is asking these things about her job and a redesign. I say, well, Denise must be thinking that, releasing a whole product at once is going to be time consuming. And Denise is feeling concerned about, first of all, I'm making these up. If I'm right, I'm lucky because we don't know this. So as I like to let's roll out this old classic. My empathy, knowledge, and action model. Empathy's nice, if you truly have it. But look it up. Look up what the American Psychological Association says it is. Most people don't have empathy. I'll take sympathy. But what really beats empathy and pretending we feel what users feel and we really know them so well is knowledge and action. And if you want to see some of the mistakes being made with things like this and with the whole empathy thing, just read some of the LinkedIn posts from Black people, people of color, LGBTQ people, autistic people, disabled people, and they're all like, hey, y'all think you're researching me and you're building what I need? You don't get what my life is like. You don't understand my situations. You just asked me a couple of questions. You can't really empathize with what my situation or my life or my whatever is truly like. You can't empathize with it. You know so little about it. And that's why I think at best, many of us have sympathy. And I think sympathy is okay. It absolutely is. I think sympathy can be enough because sympathy means we're interested and we care and we recognize that we don't have all the information. So when I see something like this, and I was actually thinking about doing a show on this or a short perspectives video, I don't like empathy maps. I don't like empathy anything right now, but I really don't like empathy maps because they are too presumptive. They are high ego because I imagine I've learned you so well. I know what you're thinking and feeling. And all freaking day long, I have people on LinkedIn saying to me, oh, I'm so sorry I've upset you. And it's like, upset? No, not upset. Try again. Try asking. And, oh, I can see you're really bothered by this. No, try again. So it's like, keep going and you'll create that. So I think that this is high ego. I think this is presumptive, and I think it is asking us to infer things that we don't know. I try to inspire the people to whom I'm teaching research and research documentation. Do not infer. And Solomon says, and everyone loves it, if we haven't observed or spoken to users, I can't see how we'd be able to create a proper empathy map. Yeah, and remember, I don't need an empathy map because, let's roll this one out. How is this meaningful, actionable, and helpful? What can I do as a CX or UX specialist because I think I know how people feel? I'm building a better landing page for an e-commerce site. How do you feel about shopping for this thing? Is this an emotional issue for our customers, or are they just trying to pay their bill, buy a thing, sign up for an enterprise service? Many of the things that we are doing day to day are not emotional. They're trying to, I'm thinking like some of you, I'm looking at you and thinking of some of the jobs that I know you have. People are trying to buy groceries. Probably not emotional. Probably no feelings involved. So how is a document like this meaningful, actionable, or helpful? What can we do because of it? And I would challenge anybody in a job interview with me, if you pull out this, I'm going to ask you, how is this actionable? What can I do because of this document? So these are some of the things that I think about empathy maps. I don't use them. I don't make them. And when I see them, I think that's really presumptive, and it's a little high ego to think like, oh yes, I empathize with you so much. I know what you think and feel. Then I think about how people treat me on LinkedIn and I go, oh man, does anyone really know how I think or feel? Like, I'm a low emotions person. I know I seem passionate about stuff, and I am, but I don't make these things emotional. At least I don't see it that way. So back to here, let's press the merge button. Merge, Zoom. So thanks, everybody. Let's see what the chat room's been saying. Solomon says, I always felt like a poser. I never did one of those empathy maps. Glad to see I'm not alone. Nope, haven't done it. And can't think of a reason to. I'll do affinity diagrams. I'll do task analysis. I'll do personas. I've done scenarios. I only want to do stuff that's meaningful, actionable, and helpful. And if it's not going to be any of those things, who needs it? So thank you to the person who asked that question. Absolutely beautiful question that I've never been asked before here. So I love that even over a year into doing these, I'm still getting fresh questions. Okay, let's take the next anonymous question that's come in. And I would say let's get in our last questions for today because it is already 7:18 p.m. my time. I usually stop at 7:30 p.m. my time. So last questions, everybody. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Ring the bell so you know when I'm live. Empathize. Draw an empathy map for the like button. It feels you. Join our Slack community if you're not active there. Come on, Solomon, we miss you over there. Tip jar is 24 hours a day and totally optional and grateful. Today I had Emmenthal. And what else can I tell you? And of course, tip jar for super chats and super stickers on YouTube. All right, so one of our last questions is, I love my work as a UXer, but I hate dealing with company politics. Do you think going freelance is a good way to escape this? I must say, I don't know what other people's experiences are. We can ask them. But I have found when I am a freelancer at a company or sometimes even a contractor at a company, I am left out of a lot of politics. And quite simply, other people don't assume I'm going for their jobs because you usually don't get promoted as a freelancer or contractor. So other people know you're not going for your jobs. You're not a threat. Many people see you as temporary, so they don't drag you into crap. I will say that I have seen and been involved in less politics when I am coming in as a freelancer or a contractor or an outside agency. That doesn't mean there's zero politics, but it definitely has felt to me like a lot less. And most of my San Francisco career was as a contractor. And I did a lot of freelance work for various agencies. And the agencies were much cooler to work with. But when I came into corporate jobs as a contractor, yeah, I felt like I got left out of a lot of crap. They were all fighting each other over stuff. And also because I'm hourly and I'm limited to the number of hours I can legally work, no one's going to pay me for more than 40 hours. They didn't tend to pile up unreasonable work on me, because then I would say, would you like me to work more than 40 hours and bill you overtime? Then it was like, oh my God, no. I had to sign something that swore I would never work more than 40 hours a week. And so I think there was less chance for abuse. There's certainly less chance for growth in the role. That's why I've never been a manager. I've never been a manager because I've always been a hired gun. And so I never got promoted up the ladder. So there you go. And Mags is following up with a question that's coming on one of my screens, but not the other. So that's weird. Does that mean one of my screens? Oh, thank you, Solomon. That's so beautiful of you. Thank you so much. Tomorrow's cheese will be on you. Thank you so much. Let me see. Some of the questions aren't coming up, so I don't know. I'll try to refresh. Mag says, I'll check my other system. Follow up to freelance contracting. Do you think you get left out of important decisions? I think it really depends. It depends on what my role is and how people see me. Now I have to type this. Hold on. Do you think you get left out of important decisions? Yes, I'm on the old keyboard. That was not typed on the new one, where I am at 1/5 of my speed. And I see the anonymous question, and this is actually one we've answered before, so I'll speak to it after this, and then we'll have to call it the last question. So last round of drinks, everybody. We just got the last question officially. So I would say, am I left out of important decisions? I've been left out of important decisions as a full-time employee. So I think, when you are working with people who, don't see collaboration or things like that the way we would prefer, you can be left out of anything with any role or title. I would say that the times I've been left out of important decisions the most, I guess it's a mix. I think it really depends on the culture and the vibe. So I'm not sure. I don't think a freelancer being left out of decisions is any different. It really depends on why you're there. If you're really just there like, hey, make us some business cards and then you're done, then sure, you're working. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, now my chat's not even working. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for the feta. I'm out of Emmenthal now. I think it really depends on what you're there to do, why you're there, and what other people understand about why you're there. So it's going to be an it depends. Sorry. Okay, probably last question today, because time's going to be up soon. And again, don't forget to sign up for Concentric. If you're watching this in the future, there might be a Concentric 2022. So go to the webpage and see if I'm planning anything. But that might not be till January 2022, or who knows. So our last question came in anonymously, and it says, I've been reading a lot about jobs to be done recently and came across this quote, designing for motivations and outcomes is far better than designing for attributes. This is the key difference between personas and jobs to be done. Personas look at roles and attributes. Jobs to be done looks at situations and motivations. Personas explain who people are and what people do, but they never fully explain why people do something. End quote. What's your take? Do you feel jobs to be done methodology is more valuable than personas? First of all, you can have both. Second of all, out of jobs to be done to me is not as good as task analysis and optimized task flow. We've been teaching that over in the micro lessons playlist. So go check out the micro lessons playlist. And sorry, my chat's totally died. I can't see anything anybody's saying. Let me close it and open it up again and see if I can see what everybody's saying. So if you're looking for something, I would probably say look at task analysis and optimized task flow in our micro lessons playlist. I think that's way more powerful than jobs to be done. And then what I've been doing is I've been taking elements from my task analysis and bringing that into my personas. So now I've got personas. And again, I don't go for marketing personas. So my personas, let me see the way they describe them. My personas are not about attributes. My personas, my personas are about motivations, outcomes, because I'm focused on their task and how they're doing their task and what they need to do at their task. Sometimes we're looking at roles and, but not roles the way they mean it here, Larry Marine roles. And also I've been trying to build in from Larry's task analysis and optimized task flow adventures, the knowledge gap. So for this persona, aggregated across people we met and stuff, what are the things that they know, but what are the things we assume they know, and what's the difference? That's the knowledge gap. And that's really powerful. And that's a really powerful part of what Larry teaches in the optimized task flow and the task analysis and the optimized task flow, because we look at tools, knowledge, and workarounds. So we start to figure out if we've done a good task analysis. What don't people know, but we assumed they did? Every time you log in to pay a bill and it asks for your account number, but you don't know your account number and there's no other way to do it, that's knowledge we didn't have. That could be better designed. So I would say do not run towards jobs to be done. Take a closer look at the Larry Marine style of task analysis and optimized task flow. Be careful if you Google task analysis. You're going to get some boot campers who learned task analysis, and it seems that the way that they learned it is think about a task and figure out what the steps probably are. No, that's not how we do it. Sorry, everybody. My live chat seems to be totally dead. I'm not seeing anything anybody is saying. So I'm so sorry that this has become less interactive. But hopefully you can all still see me, and this is running live. I think personas can be valuable when meaningful, actionable, and helpful, and when building in aspects from our task analysis, like what do these people know? What do they not know? What's confusing for them? Where are their tasks running into problems? What are they trying to accomplish? So I don't do personas by attributes or Myers-Briggs or what brands they like. These are marketing personas, and that usually doesn't work for us because you need them to be meaningful, actionable, and helpful. So with that, I'm going to wrap up and thank everybody and just say the next broadcast will be Monday. Monday will be, I'm going to read my new Medium article. Oh, and thank you to Tarina for listening into the show. She sent me a screenshot of me making a crazy face. So sorry, I was making a crazy face, but that's a hilarious screenshot. Oh, good. Kayleen's here. So my chat is half working. I got the YouTube chats, but I'm missing the LinkedIn one. Sorry, LinkedIn people. So Monday, I'm going to be looking at my other new Medium article, which is about UX and evangelism, what's undoing UX. And then taking the rest of the week off, not even doing office hours because we will be eyebrow deep in Concentric Conference. So we'll see you there. And I think that's it. I think there's nothing else cooking this week. And I'll see everybody Monday. And of course, if you're part of our Slack universe, I will see you in the Slack universe. I'm always there commenting and answering questions when awake and when I can. So come on there. Thanks to everybody for great office hours. Always great to see that, again, even after doing this more than a year, I'm still getting fresh questions that I haven't had before. So that's really cool. Everybody be safe, wear 4 masks with extra filters, and I don't know, look out for those spring allergies. Sleep well. Bye, everybody.
Delta CX, available for CX and UX consulting, projects, and training. Contact us for a free consultation